I do call him Black Jesus.
Exactly.
Yep.
But I will never call him that.
That's disgusting. If you eat Hershey's bar for fun, you like golf balls in your mouth.
Really weird. So, I'm a really simple guy when it comes to women. What is wrong with you?
I ask myself that every day.
I don't know what the hell happened from the series before to the series with the Celtics.
It's my biggest conversation, and I hope we go viral with this one.
Princess Nefertari.
You're drunk. You should not be drinking. You should not be drinking this early in the day, bro.
Buddy, I still got 30 minutes. I start drinking.
Should have started.
Hey, did you get that? Did you?
Yeah. Hey, I'm leaving that in the video, bro. I'm leaving that in.
Well, I know. Or I need to send you. Hey, where's my camera? Hey, Pete. Yep. Hey, Pete. As soon as we said that, he said, "Put me on game." That is. Welcome back to your favorite show, your favorite podcast, Gumball Sports Machine. This is the show in which we laugh, we hug, we cry, we smile, we love, and most importantly, we are positive. Please don't forget. I'm going to try and say it more often. I know we say it at the show. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Please follow us on all social medias: TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all of them. Gumball Sports Machine. You can add all of that. We post clips every day from the podcast, from the shows. So go show us some love on that. I'm your host, Gumball, aka Jamal Gummo, aka Gumball. I am joined by my dog, my OG, my triple OG, my unk, and the gentleman in which we like to call the generalizer, Tone. You, sir, how are you feeling? You have
Delightful, sir. How about yourself?
Oh, are you? Are you just getting back from the country club there, are you, brother?
Yes.
Oh, great guy.
Watching
guy.
The interesting trades go by.
Oh boy, your team made one of those trades. Oh, I'm very excited to see. I'm very excited to see what your team did. And the third member of our crew tonight, he is David. He is David Largo. He is D'Lo. He is co-host. D'Lo has arrived. And
Hello.
D'Lo, as always, you look just absolutely delighted and happy.
Yeah, very delighted that you keep forgetting my nickname that Tone made, Flip Say Less.
You know what? Let me go ahead and write that down, because definitely forgot that. Sorry.
Just saying.
It's a good one. When Lo likes it, because
I'm embracing it. Yeah, I'm gonna embrace it.
He likes it. Yeah.
Hey, bro, that's a lot of negativity coming around here. If you ask me, you know what I'm saying? It's and D'Lo.
As the most negative person on this show, I will embrace that. I'll embrace that for sure.
Oh, okay. Well, how are you fellas doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm just curious as to like, why did we come in here sounding like old white men? Like, what was going on there? I heard country clubs and
what's wrong with that?
I'm just saying, like,
what if I'm trying to aspire to be an old white man?
Trying to get my golf game together. That's what I'm trying to hang out with. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just curious as to like what was going on. I wasn't expecting it. That's all.
Yeah. What if I want to be an old white man when I grow up, D'Lo? Do you have a problem with that?
No, I mean, if you want to be that, like, you can be whoever you want to be. Don't let me stop you from being the person you want to be.
No, I'm not. You know what? And my haters, they can all go suck a toe. You know what I mean?
Ooh. All right. Yep. And
okay, I'm sorry.
As your biggest hater, I will indeed go suck a toe. Here we go.
All righty. Oh man. Well, we'll take a quick commercial break. Actually, we ran out of commercial break money, so we're gonna keep it right here.
We've had commercial break money. We've had that.
Exactly, low.
Mall pocketed all of the commercial money. What's going?
I used it all on Phoenix Suns gear and this chair that I'm sitting in. So
you bought a bunch of trash with the cash.
Oh, see, there you go. And you know what? Because of that, we have no commercial money and we don't have any commercials to play. Our commercial budget has run out. Okay. There's been a lot of stuff that's going on today, boys. First of which, a lot of NBA trades. Now, as soon as I find it, we'll talk about it. James Harden was traded from the Los Angeles Clippers to the Cleveland Cavaliers. He mentioned, I believe this was yesterday, 2 days ago. Shams had reported that James Harden wanted out. This is not the first time we've heard this from James Harden. He has done this at about every single destination, every single stop he has been to. And it was no different with his hometown Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers are trading James Harden to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Darius Garland and a second-round pick. This is interesting because we'll talk about, we'll get more into it. But Tone, we were talking a little bit before the show. You said you have an interesting take on it. This move for the Cavs, is this an upgrade for them? Because I think if this doesn't work out, they're screwed. Because James Harden is a 36, 37-year-old player who's still he's played at a high level this year. But again, you only have so many years of James Harden left. If the Cavs, if this doesn't work out for the Cavs, they're screwed. Where do they go from here?
Personally, I think they're screwed either way, if I'm going to be frank. But my interesting take is I think this is a move to try to rail in LeBron James. I don't think it's going to work personally. But, there's a lot of rumors that this is not his last year, that he may stick around for one more year. And so why not get the team a little bit better and try to grill him in. I do think they got better. Darius Garland has played really inconsistent. And if you watch any Clipper games, James Harden has actually been pretty well and pretty good this season. I think if you match him up with Donovan, you kind of got a pick of the litter of who you want to finish the game. And Cleveland, that's really what they lack, is somebody that's going to close out the game. I don't know what's been going on with Donovan. Their defense hasn't been as stout either, which James Harden's probably not bringing any of that with him. But if you can score more, hey, sometimes your offense is better defense. And then my other part of this interesting take is something that I think I brought up maybe about a year ago. Is that I Lowe was definitely giving me crap about it, is I believe that LaMelo Ball was going to make his way to the Los Angeles Clippers. And I feel like this is one of those moves that is going to make that happen. I don't think they're going to hold on to Garland. I think he's just another asset for them to move, and that they're going to go all in on LaMelo. They'll likely give up Kawhi somehow, some way, and let him go to another competitor. But I think that they're going to go youthful for the future. And LaMelo's from LA, and they need somebody to bring in the fans. They need some excitement. And I think LaMelo and I can't remember my guy's name. What's the power forward that I was talking about last week? He came from Utah, and John Collins. There you go. Collins. I don't know how I forgot his name, but that's my guy too. But I think LaMelo and John Collins is a good, it's similar to him and Bridges. It's someone they can throw the oops to, pick and roll. A little bit of excitement in LA in that new arena. But yeah, I think the Cavs won this so far.
D'Lo, again, this is one of those moves in which if you're the Clippers, now this was kind of out of your control because James Harden asked out of nowhere. Nobody really was expecting James Harden to ask out. And again, so close to the deadline. This move that they made for Darius Garland, was this enough to get what they were looking for Or was this the best case scenario after James Harden asked out? Was this the best case scenario the Clippers could have asked for?
No, not at all. And I've been very adamant about this for years. Darius Garland is just not an enticing basketball player for me. He's super inconsistent, and the only space where he brings value is on offense. We talk about, James Harden going to Cleveland and how there's no defense. James Harden plays more defense than Darius Garland. I mean, when you think about it, Garland is super tiny. He's very, very lightweight. He doesn't have much muscle mass to him. And so he gets bullied. It doesn't matter by who. It could be by guards. It could be by forwards. It's by bigs. And I brought this up in the Heat series because obviously Darius Garland was coming at Tyler Hero for not playing any defense when Darius Garland was the worst defender on the floor. And there are a very small number of players where he is better than them defensively. I'm not a fan. And so for me, I'm glad that Cleveland has finally moved off of him because I've said it for a while now that I just don't think that he works next to another scoring guard who doesn't play a lot of defense in Donovan Mitchell. And then you bring in James Harden, who is another scoring guard who doesn't play a lot of defense, but he scores the ball better. And I also think he's a better playmaker. So I think that you're getting an upgrade in that sense. And he also, while not playing a whole lot of defense, is going to provide you more defensively than Darius Garland just because he's a bigger body. So if I'm the Cavs, I understand this move. I like this move, actually. And from a Clippers perspective, I don't know what the thought is here. I like Tone's take. LaMelo Ball has been linked to LA. Maybe this is the move that gets them there. Because obviously James Harden doesn't provide you any value if you're Charlotte because of his age, really. You're not trading a young and upcoming star for a 37-year-old basketball player on a team that's just not competing. And so Garland gets you more value in the long term just because he's younger. But I still just don't think it's enough for them to provide any value considering they don't have any picks because, all of them are in Oklahoma City. So I don't know what the direction is here. There were reports earlier in the year that maybe they would trade both James Harden and Kawhi. And now that Harden is gone, maybe they look into trading Kawhi, even though he's playing at a phenomenal level. They're just not competing anymore now that Harden is gone. And so I don't know what the plan is.
So I'm gonna start with the Cavs. So if you're the Cavs, you trade Darius Garland, a younger guy, for an older James Harden, a guy who has been that guy, but really hasn't been that guy in 4 or 5 years. With James Harden, I think the Cavs are going to get a little bit better consistency when it comes to that point guard position and the ability to score the basketball. Defensively, I think it's parallel. I think they play, D'Lo, you said that James Harden might play more defense than Darius Garland. I think I could agree with you. That could be a good point only because of the size difference. Pause. But James Harden, again, he's going to be that consistent scoring guy. When Donovan Mitchell doesn't have it, or if Donovan Mitchell doesn't have it, or if Donovan Mitchell is out, James Harden can go get you 30. He can go get you 35, 40 if you absolutely need him to. He's not going to stop a brick wall. So, and in terms of the Clippers, what do they do? The Clippers might be the worst situation in the NBA. They might be the worst team, and not by record, but the worst situation in the NBA. They are literally stuck in purgatory. You have Kawhi Leonard, who's been injury prone for his entire career. Now you trade for Darius Garland, a younger guy, but is he going to be the guy that you build around, the guy, your franchise piece? No, he's not. So you tried Paul George. That didn't work. You've tried Kawhi Leonard. It's worked every so often, but he can't stay healthy for the times that he really needs it to work. I don't know what the Clippers are doing. And D'Lo, you mentioned they don't have any picks because all of them belong to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And so you get a second round pick for James Harden. Whoop-de-doo. I don't know what the Clippers do from here. And, go and back to the Cavs. I kind of mentioned it before. This is a go big or go home trade for the Cavs. It really is, because this is a move you make to go win a championship, to go contend for a championship. And because you're trading for a 37-year-old guy, one of which has been in and out of lineups, and as we all know, has been very shaky in terms of wanting to stay places once he gets uncomfortable. Now we're going to talk about that here in a few minutes, but this is a go big or go home move for the Cavs. If it doesn't work, it's really going to suck because you have no future. You have Evan Mobley and you have Jared Allen, whose names have also trickled around the trade speculation for years. And I don't know what you do from there because the team right now that you have without James Harden, say you lose James Harden in free agency, is not good enough to compete with the Boston Celtics of the world and the New York Knicks of the world and even the Orlando Magics of the world. And apparently now the Philadelphia 76ers of the world when they're not taking drugs. So I don't know what both of these teams are kind of stuck in the middle.
You ain't gonna say the Pistons?
You're right.
Pistons of the world. The Pacers when they get Tyrese back.
Get healthy.
When they get AJ. Yeah, they're about to get AJ. Watch.
Yeah, and see, there you go. They might get AJ. I was talking to Kevin the other day, and he was talking about who would be a better fit between AJ DeBenza and Darren Peterson. Darren Peterson more of a guard. I think AJ DeBenza.
I think neither. Oh, it's Boozer.
Really? You like Cam Boozer more than both of those guys?
You got you got Pascal Siakam.
I'm a fan. I think with the loss of Miles Turner, I think they need just a bigger body.
You gonna play center?
Ball.
Hey, you seen Jay Huff? Hey, Jay Huff, that's my dog. He nice.
Yeah.
Hey, that's
the reverse dunk king. Of course, I've seen the reverse dunk king.
Real quick. So go ahead, Tone. My bad.
So I don't know. It's an interesting take.
No, it is. It is. Real quick, Tone. This is not the first time we've seen James Harden request a trade. He did it in Houston when he got upset, and he did it in Philly when he got upset. He did it in Brooklyn when he got upset. And the thing is, all of these teams are catering to James Harden. And once he gets the smallest inconvenience, he wants out. I don't know what that inconvenience is now because in the Rockets, you can tell. When he got tired of Dwight Howard, they traded Dwight Howard. When he got tired of Chris Paul, they traded Chris Paul. When they got tired of Russell Westbrook, they traded Russell Westbrook. In Philly, they did the same thing. They didn't give him the keys. They didn't give him the keys to the franchise, so he wanted out. In Brooklyn, he just whatever. Kyrie and Katie were getting more of the spotlight. What does this say about James Harden more than it does anybody else because of how many times he's asked out and for the little? It's not like these people are just disrespecting as far as we know. But as little as he's asked out for, Tom.
Just imagine there's two lines going through this S. You know what that symbol stands for?
Dollar bills, y'all.
James Harden asked for a certain amount of money. They said no. He said, I want out. And that's, I feel like, again, I've spoken to this on previous pods. When you look at the Giannis situation and them not being able to make the team formidable for him to contend, this is just James Harden with his premonitions. He's thinking through situations and he's like, oh, yeah, if I can't get this situation I want, I'm out. I am the business. The NBA don't run without superstars. James Harden is a superstar. He's like, if I'm not getting a championship, what's the next best thing? The super bag. I'm going to get my bag until I retire. Now, it's unfortunate as fans because we want to see grade A basketball. We don't care about, not that we don't care, but essentially we don't care how much money you're making. You're in the NBA. You're making millions of dollars. At a certain point, millions of dollars is millions of dollars. We don't, 100 million, 200 million, 300 million. It don't matter to us. We just want you on teams and play good basketball. But at the end of the day, he's trying to leave a legacy for his family. and the more money he has, you know, the bigger the legacy. It's unfortunate for Clippers fans. I'm sure that they thought when they had that combination, they were going to have a little bit more success. I mean, they had billboards of Kawhi up saying it's a new sheriff in town. It's our LA now, yada yada yada. That didn't pan out. James Harden's actually, believe he's from California, right?
Yep,
And so
born and raised.
it's exciting for him to win in LA. But at the end of the day, those guys are just businessmen, and they're playing the business game. And he wanted, I think it was like 80 million for the next 2 years, which is actually, like, when you think about it, it's kind of ridiculous. But the NBA is a new market, and he's averaging what 24 and 8, and so at those numbers, who knows what he's due? It'd be a shame for Cleveland to give that to him, knowing that they got guys that deserve money and have been putting on for them as well. So, like I said, it'd be interesting to see if they keep him for that tenure. But I just believe he's playing the money market, man.
D'Lo, what kind of stain does this put on James Harden's legacy when you look at everything he's been able to accomplish on the basketball court, but I don't want to say employee, but the player and the man almost that James Harden has been to some of these organizations, and maybe the lack of loyalty that he's had once one thing goes wrong, once one thing inconveniences him, he's gone. What kind of stain does that leave on James Harden's legacy?
I don't really think it matters too much, especially in this day and age where just requesting a trade is kind of like the new norm. And I think that part of this, and I saw this take a little bit ago, is that the new CBA deal kind of ruined free agency. And it is more so requiring players to re-sign with their team to get the money that they want, but they don't really want to be there. So you're signing, and if you leave a team, you're leaving so much money on the table, like a lot of money. But then they really just don't want to play there, but they don't want to take the pay cut. So you want the money here, so you're going to sign the deal, but at some point you're going to get fed up and you're going to request a trade and you want out of there. We're seeing it all the time. We see it with Harden. We see it happening with Giannis right now as we speak. And so I think it's kind of just the new norm in how the league is working right now. So I don't really see too much of an issue in terms of his legacy. I just think that there are bigger things that are really affecting his legacy that are limiting him from being in,
Uh-oh. Hey, you know what? It's not me this time with the technical difficulties. It's not me. It's not me. It's not me. I just heard a joke before.
James Harden said, "What would you say?" Hit the button on you.
Oh yeah. Oh, hold on. Stand by.
like, what was that, dude?
It's not me. It's not me with the technical difficulties this time.
It just like closed StreamYard. That was awesome. I don't even know where I cut out. I don't know where
You were speaking to the other things that were stopping James Harden from.
Yeah, okay. Other things, like the fact that he doesn't have a ring, or the fact that, he doesn't have multiple MVPs, or he has this playoff loss on his record, right? That's affecting him from getting into this upper echelon of the guards that we know, the top three of Wade, or Kobe, and MJ. I think that's really what's preventing him, rather than, hey, I just want out.
Yeah. James Harden is not setting himself up for a lot of success post the NBA. Real quick, let's get to some of these comments. Gucci says how Kevin feel about the Harden trade. I'm curious to see how he feels. Obviously, Kevin's team's got a lot going on this week. Obviously, his Patriots are in the Super Bowl, and his Cavs just made this blockbuster deal. He also said he's crying for Darius Garland. The Clippers are a mess right now.
Boring franchise.
Oh, it's bad. But we like to call on this show a poop franchise. Or no, a poop show. I'm sorry. That too, but both. And somebody we're gonna talk about here in a few minutes. Nikola Vucevic was a good trade for the C's. Oh, Tone's eyes lit up. So I'm very interested to see what his Celtics, he and his Celtics think about that trade. I don't know what the Heat are doing. Gucci, I have no idea. And D-Lo, I really hope they don't
I know
trade.
exactly what they're doing.
I really hope they don't trade for Giannis because Khalil Ware might be a Giannis that can shoot the basketball. But we'll get into that later. And yeah, D'Lo. Oh man. And we were talking about how I want to be an old white man when I grow up, and Papa Dano is asking D'Lo, what's wrong with the old white man? Huh? Rick?
I know. I'm just saying, there's nothing wrong with old white man. I was just curious as to what was going on.
And then Gucci doesn't think the Hornets are going to trade LaMelo. I don't think they
They've been
should.
hoping.
Yeah,
shout out to that rookie too, Colin Knuppel.
Yeah.
He's him.
He's
shout
an
out to
elite
Tone
shooter.
for predicting that too. Shout out to Tone.
Yeah, elite shooter.
Tone's been on his team day one.
Man,
he's sitting there with like the finger glove, and he's like, "Yeah,
yeah." Oh man, yeah. Tone is doing a lot of fingering.
Wait,
what?
Lord have mercy.
What?
We have like just these wholesome moments, and then Jamal finds a way to ruin it.
How? What did I do? I didn't do anything. I just pointed out what we were talking about.
Moving on.
The Cavs also got Dennis Schroeder. They traded DeAndre Hunter for Dennis Schroeder, which I think was a horrible move.
I feel like that's where they messed up. If you're gonna go get Harden, why wouldn't you have kept Hunter?
I don't know if they just think Evan Mobley can guard everybody at once, or Jared Allen could guard everybody at once, but they've lost a lot of defense in the past 3 days.
And how much time is Schroeder even going to get when you got Harden and Donovan Mitchell?
Evan Mobley isn't all that great either. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, he's not, but he's okay though.
He's not max, but
Evan Mobley is the definition of mid.
I think they had expectations for him that he didn't quite meet. I'll say that.
Yeah, I don't think he's
almost like I've been saying that.
Although he did win Defensive Player of the Year last year.
And it was a fake depoy too. It was the fakest depoy.
Gucci says the Clippers messed up letting
Norman Powell boy, go.
They definitely did. Norman Powell, the All-Star this year. Also, on all All-Star picks, D-Lo, you messed up on one pick in the Eastern Conference. You picked LaMelo Ball instead of Karl Anthony Towns.
No.
Who picked Karl Anthony Towns?
I don't remember.
Both of you guys did, I think.
Yeah. I don't. I mean, I remember I did. I don't remember who else did. Somebody else did.
No. I remember getting called crazy for saying Pascal Siakam was going to be an All-Star. I remember that.
Hey, that's for sure. I get that one.
Especially in the comments of the clips.
I know that.
I said in the comments of the clips, they were like, Pascal's not an all-star. His team is like last in the East. And I'm like, bro, that don't matter.
He got in.
He got in. He's been playing great.
Yeah, he's playing some good ball. And you did call Karl Anthony Towns getting in. So whatever. Anyways. Let's see. COVID hard, man. I still want to see what team should have did. It's tough. It's tough, man. The Spurs spoiled Kawhi. They did, but then Gucci, they went out and he went out to Toronto and won a championship. So, I mean, maybe, but the Spurs are a really good organization, though.
The Clippers have just been cursed ever since.
It's
CP3 was there, they get so far, and then somebody would get hurt. If it wasn't him. Yeah.
And see, you ain't no good for CP3 is one of my favorite players of all time. So you stop.
No, but I mean, there were times when I was picking them to win, and somebody would get hurt, and you'd be like, "Oh man, there they go again," and it would happen all the time. It was just a thing. He went to Houston, and the same thing happened.
Same thing. He got hurt, and then they missed 27 straight threes in Game 7 against the Warriors. And then Let's see. And then Gucci, he also doesn't believe in James Harden. He said he's not going to show up in big games, and it's hard to argue because he hasn't really ever showed up in those big games. But you know, I know y'all. Gucci been in the comments. Papa Dano has been in the comments. So y'all keep letting us know what y'all think, man. But let's get to the next trade that happened today. This is also another pretty big trade. Jaren Jackson
trade.
Jr.
It's weird.
Jaren Jackson Jr. was traded to the Jazz. This was a part of an 8-player trade. The Utah Jazz also gave up 3 first-round picks for Mr. Jaren Jackson Jr. D'Lo, you said this is a weird trade, and I agree. This was an odd trade. All of us were thinking if there was going to be a star traded from the Memphis Grizzlies, it was going to be Ja Morant. Nobody expected Jaren Jackson Jr. to be the star that left and was traded from the Memphis Grizzlies. So your first reactions to this trade, D'Lo, and if there was a winner of the trade, who would it be?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those like semi-lateral moves, I guess, where instinctively one team does get better, and that is the Jazz. I think that the Jazz do get a lot better from this, actually. And I think it's just gearing the NBA towards more small ball. Because realistically, you have these big men that to go out and play guys like Wemby and Jokic and, these top tier elite guys, and they're just too slow, even by that standard. So I think that going small is just the way to go. And if they get a 2, they get a 2 in this day and age based off of the height difference. So I kind of like it. I don't know how well he fits next to Lauri Markkanen, but Triple J has been a consistent offensive presence for Memphis for the past couple of years, and he can shoot the 3 ball at an okay clip. So I'm not too mad about this move for the Jazz, but I just don't know why now. It's not like they're competing for anything, and so it just doesn't make sense for me in my mind for them to go out and do this. And if you're Memphis, I think that this trade makes a whole lot of sense, actually, because you need value to get off of Ja Morant. I think that was the issue that they were running into, is that they didn't have anything to package with Ja Morant to get teams interested. Now you bring in 3 first-round picks that you could potentially offer, and try and get Ja Morant out of Memphis. And I think that is the mindset that I'm in right now. I don't think that he gets traded before the deadline, though. And I think the main factor, again, is that all of the teams that are interested in Ja are a lot more interested in Giannis. And that's just how it is. So for a team like the Jazz, I think this is the perfect time to go out and get a player like Triple J, because his value is just going to be less comparatively because it's not Giannis, right? So that's kind of where my thinking is at with this trade.
Tone, like I mentioned, the name that we thought was going to be moved from the Memphis Grizzlies was Ja Morant. And the whole idea is Ja Morant, they're going to trade him, and then they're going to build around Jaren Jackson. They're going to bring in another star to try and accompany him with him, and that's what they're going to go. Obviously, after today, that was not the plan. Jaren Jackson Jr. is traded from the Memphis Grizzlies to the Utah Jazz. What does this mean for Ja Morant? Are the Grizzlies telling Ja Morant, you are our guy? You are the guy that we want to build around? We want you to be the face of our franchise? Or is it still inevitable that Ja Morant will be traded from the Grizzlies?
Definitely inevitable. In due time, he will be gone. I agree with Lo. They just needed other assets to deliver. But I think that we did know Triple J was out the door. There were rumors. There were a couple rumors out there. And I think this is part of them hitting the reset button. When you look at the West, there's a lot of teams jumbled up, and then there's those top 3 or 4 teams. They're not in either one of those groups. You have to hit the reset button. If not, there's no need to just hold on to your subpar pieces that weren't working. I think we spoke to this several pods ago that the start of this was getting rid of Bane. That was your core group. That was what worked for those guys. They were making the playoffs. They were winning 50+ games or close to it. They got rid of Bane and things just they had to dismantle. Triple J has been more consistent, but I think what the NBA needs from Triple J is just more defense. They don't need him offensively, and Utah's reading that, and I think that what they have, the other pieces with Triple J, that might work, and I don't think it's for this year. So when Lowe speaks to what are they doing, they're thinking about the future. Triple J is what, 26, 27 years old? You got another 4 or 5 solid years, and this is your peak. 27 through 30, those are supposed to be the best years of an athlete's life. I mean, there's some guys who hit that before, but 27, and so when you think about what he can bring to the Utah Jazz, who actually have Keontae George, they have Lloyd Marketing and Ace Bailey, who's likely their offensive core. You add Triple J to that, if they can create a system in the West, they could be pretty dynamic. They could be pretty scary for years to come. And like Lo said, small balls, there's nothing wrong with it if you can get around and buy Wemby. And I'm actually thinking they're going to be exciting, moving forward. But yeah, I don't know what Memphis is doing. It's going to be tough if they don't get rid of Ja, which you said that you don't think he's going to be moved before the deadline. I don't know what they're waiting for, man. Like, you can't wait for the Giannis move to make a move, because what if Giannis isn't moved until the end of the season? Now you're stuck with Ja, and to me, he's losing value every day. And I feel like you got to get off of him while he's valuable.
So I don't know if you guys remember, but during the offseason, we were having a conversation after a lot of moves were made. Cam Johnson traded to the Nuggets. Kevin Durant obviously traded to the Houston Rockets, and a lot of different moves were being made. And we were having the conversation of whose offseason do you like the most? Who's having a really good offseason? And one of the teams I threw in there was the Utah Jazz. Now, again, I wasn't saying that with the idea of the moves that they made were going to go win them a championship or compete for a championship or even compete for the play-in, which they haven't so far this year. But a lot of those moves that I like that they made brought in expiring contracts and older guys that weren't going to have as much of an impact on the future, because it's going to open up cap space. And when I look at this trade and who they gave up, the Jazz gave up Walter Clayton Jr., a young point guard who I really like, Kyle Anderson, who exists, Taylor Hendricks, and George Niang, who also just kind of exist. The 3 first-round picks is where I kind of look at it. I'm like, wow, that's a lot to give up for Jaren Jackson Jr. But to get the player that is Jaren Jackson Jr., the two-way guy that he is, he's one of the best defenders in the league. Offensively, he's really, really good. Now, is he a top guy in the league offensively? No. But he can go get you 25, 30 on any given night. Because he is that good offensively. I don't mind this move for the Jazz. Again, the 3 first-round picks is what scares me, because they are going to be in that lottery for the next 3, 4, maybe 5 years. So that part I'm a little confused on them giving up as many first-round picks as they did. But the acquisition of Jaren Jackson Jr. I like a lot, because D'Lo, you mentioned small ball. I think they're getting bigger with this move. I think they bring in Jaren Jackson Jr. to pair along Lauri Markkanen, and Walker Kessler is out for the year with season-ending shoulder injury. But I really like Walker Kessler's game. Ace Bailey, you still have another guy in Keontae George, who's growing each and every single day, who's getting better each and every single day. So it's the pieces around him that I'm not too mad at. I just, both of you guys spoke to it. The timing is really odd. The timing is really, really odd. This to me is more of an off-season move, because again, the Jazz are 15-35 right now. It's not like they're one piece away from getting to the championship or competing with those top teams in the West. They are competing for the 12th seed. Like, we went out. I can't wait for us to go out and get Jaren Jackson to try and get a worse draft pick and almost make the play-in. That's that's the energy I'm getting from the Utah Jazz right now. But I mean, I do like the potential of it. I don't know how well it's going to work. The Grizzlies have zero direction. They're almost in the same spot as the Los Angeles Clippers right now. They have, because they have a star, but they're going to trade that star, whether it's before the deadline or in the offseason. Maybe they keep him. I don't like the chances of them actually keeping Ja Morant. I think the chances of them trading Ja Morant are a lot higher than they are keeping him. But this almost forces them to trade Ja Morant because you need pieces to build around. Now you need to find more pieces, more assets to bring in and build a future for your team. Because right now there's none. There's none. The Grizzlies are not looking at Ja Morant and saying, you are our guy. We want you to lead us to a championship. It is only a matter of time before Ja Morant is traded from the Memphis Grizzlies. And I think Jaren Jackson Jr. being traded almost solidifies that. And so those are really my takeaways. I think the Jazz gave up a little too much for Jaren Jackson. To the Grizzlies' credit, they got a lot more than they probably should have gotten for Jaren Jackson Jr., but now they need to find some way to build up Ja Morant's value to get off of him and see what they can get back for Ja.
It's like I semi like the take, but there's one thing that I just don't agree with, and it's that the Grizzlies have no direction. Because I really think that they do. When you're looking at teams in the NBA, the Grizzlies are now one of the top 3 teams that have the most first round picks. And when you look at that, you have Ja Morant. If you can get some value out of him, which right now it doesn't look like it, and you might have to send away a first round pick to get off of him, but that still leaves you in a good spot. I mean, they're tied up there with the Nets and the Thunder for the most first round draft picks.
Well,
the coming years.
Do you use those picks to actually draft and try and find that guy in the draft, or do you use those picks to trade and get another star?
And you do, and that's the risk that comes with first round draft picks. It's either you draft the next guy that you think is going to be the guy, or you luck out and that guy turns out to not be the guy that you were hoping him to be, and happens all the time. That's how teams build through the draft. There are plenty of teams that do it. The Thunder are one of them. They traded, for Paul George. They got SGA, who obviously turned into the MVP player that we know him to be. But then they drafted J-Dub. They drafted Chet. And now look at where they are. They made good draft moves that propelled them to being the best. If you're Memphis, you have to get the guy first. And obviously, with what's coming out, they don't think Ja is that guy. So you'll have to find a new guy, depending on who that is yet to be seen. But I think from just a pick standpoint, I think they have some direction. I mean, they may not be the best value picks, but there are a lot of players, especially in this upcoming draft class, which is loaded, where you can find talent in, the late round of the lottery, 8 through 14. You can still find value there. So I think that if you're Memphis, saying no direction is just a little too much. But I think a lack of a focused direction is really where they're at.
You know what? That's a great point, because there's no road. Like there's 3 roads that they could go down. They don't know which one they're going to go down. Yeah, because you could trade the picks and get a star, or you could try your luck in the draft and see if you can find another Ja Morant or another Jaren Jackson, or even somebody better than either one of those guys, Tom.
And Jalen Wells is pretty good too.
Yeah. Jalen Wells is. I mean, they traded for a guy like Walter Clayton Jr., who I like a lot. Obviously, won the national championship with Florida last year, and played really well in those games in the tournament. So, I mean, maybe that's the point guard you want to try and slide into the rotation and see if he has any potential to have some sort of impact on the future of the Memphis Grizzlies and solidified role. in the Memphis Grizzlies. They still have Scottie Pippen Jr. over there, who's been in and out of the lineup all year. But it's interesting. But again, I think the biggest thing is the timing. It's just really weird timing.
I suggest part of that is the Utah Jazz couldn't get what they may have wanted for Lauri Markkanen. And they said, well, if we're not going to get something that we want back, let's go all in. And so they changed their direction.
Yeah. It's the NBA trade season, baby. It's here and it's arrived. And after not getting very little for the past few months in NBA trade season, now we have gotten a loaded random Tuesday in terms of trades. The last one we're going to talk about, Tone. I know you're excited. The Chicago Bulls have traded center Nikola Vucevic to the Boston Celtics for Anthony Simons. Tone, this is your team. This is your boys. You seem to be very happy about the move. Give us your reaction, your just initial thoughts about the Boston Celtics, your boys getting Nikola Vucevic.
Well, it was almost a fact that we weren't going to keep Anthony as soon as we even picked him up. So it was all about the timing, per se, of who we could get and the valuable player. I like Vucevic. We were trying to get a center, a big. I think there was actually a rumor that we may have actually reached out for Triple J as well, but we didn't have enough to offer, and they already have guards over there. But I actually liked Anthony. It's not like I didn't like Anthony and what he brought to the table. It's just we already got Peyton Pritchard, we got Derek White, we've got other guards, and we've got defensive guards. And Anthony doesn't really bring that part of the puzzle. But Vucevic is a 6'11", 6'10", 6'11" big. He rebounds. He can score. I think he's averaging 18 points this season. He's shooting 50% from the field. He's shooting 38, 39% from the three, which we love to chuck. So, man, I love this. This is going to create spacing for us. Hopefully, JT does come back. If he doesn't, we should be able to make a pretty good run in the playoffs. But when JT comes back next year, I'm not sure because I believe Vucevic will be a free agent. I don't know if that's the end of this season or next season. That's the question I need to figure out. But we're freeing up cap space as well, man. I believe we are under that blanket now, and so that apron, I should say, not blanket, that apron, in which we would have had to spend a little bit more money. We're a little bit more comfortable now. We get to likely keep certain players that we like. We got a couple young fellas that I'm interested to see how they blossom. I just like how the Celtics are moving. Brad Stevens is a genius. Vucevic should definitely help that paint protection that we've been lacking. Now, Kata gets to play a little bit less minutes, but healthier minutes. I think this was a pretty aggressive move for us for the rest of the season.
So to answer your question, Tone, Nikola Vucevic is indeed on an expiring contract, so he will be an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season. D'Lo, the Celtics are number 2 right now in the East without Jason Tatum, one of their best players, depending on who you ask. But where does this put them? Does this solidify their seat, their spot in the East, that top 1, 2, 3? Move in the East, or did they really not need them and maybe just kind of assurance for them to stay and maintain that top seed or one of those top seeds in the East?
I think it assures them to be a lock for the top 3, just based off of their roster needs. They didn't need Anthony Simons, the guard who just scores a lot. They really needed a big man to sort of play the paint, and he can shoot the 3 ball, and he can rebound. And I feel like that's what they needed. So I don't think that this puts them in contention any more than they were, though. And so this, I think, is a move for either later in the season or for next season if they plan on re-signing him. I think this is more of an indication that as Tone has been pointing out this whole time, I think this move is an indication from Boston that they think Jason Tatum comes back this year. Because if he doesn't, I don't know why you make this move outside of the fact that he's on an expiring contract. That's really what this is for me. And so I'm now kind of on the hype train that Jason Tatum is going to return sometime probably in April, and he'll come back and he'll play games until the playoffs.
It's funny that you mentioned that. I actually thought the opposite. I thought they made this move because they weren't sure if Jason Tatum was going to come back. Because you look at the move that they made for Anthony Simons in the offseason. Anthony Simons and Nikola Vucevic are the same basketball player. They just play different positions. Nikola Vucevic can go get you a bucket. I'm not worried about that. Nikola Vucevic can go get you 25, 30 points with no problem. The part that worries me is the lack of defense. Now, I like this trade for the Celtics because that is a position of need. They don't need guards. They don't need more guards. They need more bigs. They need a 5-man, a 4-man, because I like Keita, and he's a very good defender. I really like Luka Garza. He can shoot the 3 ball. He can spread the floor out. He can play a little bit of defense.
Just hit one. It's like you speaking it into existence.
Huh? Oh, there you go. No, but I really have. I've liked Luka Garza since he was at Iowa. Like I was watching, and somehow he went into the second round, which is beyond me. And now that the Celtics are actually giving him an opportunity to play, he's showing he's showing why he could be a key rotational piece on a winning basketball team. But I like this move for the Celtics because it's a position of need. I'm not sure. Again, it doesn't really change the fact that they're going to be a top seed in the East because they're how well coached they are, how well Jaylen Brown is playing, how well the rest of this team is playing and stepped up without Jason Tatum. But D'Lo, that kind of pulled me in the opposite direction in terms of they're not sure if Jason Tatum is going to come back. So they're going to, if they want to still compete for a championship, they're going to need another piece because they may not have that scorer, that guy, that Jason Tatum that can go get you 30, 35 points and play a little bit of defense. Because what I'm worried about with Vucevic is when he's going to have to guard guys like Joel Embiid and Paolo Banchero and Evan Mobley and Karl Anthony Towns and these guys who could go score the basket. Evan Mobley is good. Don't do that. Evan Mobley is good. Don't do that. But he's going to have to guard those bigs like that who could go score. And I don't know if he's going to be able to do that at a high enough level. And I think teams could easily run him off the floor because he can bring you a lot defensive or offensively. I don't know if he can bring you as much as he can defensively as he can offensively, in which you're going to have to bring Keita in and he takes away from you offensively. So it's a not a lateral move because I do think they get better by trading Anthony Simons for Nikola Vucevic and a position of need that the Celtics need. But I do like it. I do like it for the Celtics for sure. And I now the Bulls, I don't know. I don't know what the Bulls are doing. They traded for Jaden Ivey today. They traded for Anthony Simons, so they just got a bunch of guards. They got Jaden Ivey, Kobe White. They got all these guards.
I was gonna say, somebody's gone, and because you think about it, you mentioned the ones that you just named, but they also still have Josh Giddey, who was playing really well. And I think has dropped off just a little bit, but I think he's still playing at a pretty well level. And so they now have 4 guys, and you're sitting there, who's the odd guy out? And I think it is Kobe. I think he probably doesn't make it past the deadline.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Because they need to unload a few of those guards. That one and maybe 2.
The Rockets.
Who is? Oh, Kobe White.
Yeah.
That would make that team so much better. I just don't know who they have to give up. That's the only part. I don't know what or who they'd have to give up. But Tone, I got you boys on the TV right now. They're up big against the Dallas Mavericks with just 30 seconds left in the third quarter. After this move, is there any moves that you think the Celtics need to make before the deadline? Is there a name that jumps out to you out there you think that the Celtics could go after?
No, I think we stay packed. I do agree with your your statement about Vucevic's defense, but I also think that we didn't have a big that made other bigs have to guard. Bigs were capable of helping off due to Kata's inability to shoot the basketball. So now that's going to make more spacing for everyone else who can play make. Peyton Pritchard, JB, guys are going to be able to attack a little bit better. So I think we stay packed where we're at. I also agree with Lowe. I think that this move is putting the cards on the table. I think JT will make a comeback because one of the things that he spoke to was kind of messing up the continuity that the team was going to have later in the year. Well, this is going to mess up the continuity. You're integrating a starting center into the lineup. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like Vucevic is coming off the bench. He's going to start for the
Bless you.
He's going to start for the Celtics. And so that's going to mess up a little bit of the continuity. Kata will now come off the bench. Luka Garza he's going to have to find his way either at the power forward position, playing more, or he'll get less time at the center position. And so this is going to mess up a little bit of that. But I think when Tatum comes back again, but I also think, like you spoke to, is we have great coaching. We've got Sam Cassell at the assistant. We've got Joe at the head of the helm. They'll figure it out. And it's not like the core guys haven't played together before. I also don't think JT's going to come back and play 35 minutes. He's going to come back and play 26, 28 minutes until the playoffs, and then he'll be, playing whatever they need him to play. But I think we're going to stay where we're at. I think we have enough guys to fill the voids whenever JT wants to sit out a game. I like Jordan Walsh. I like Hugo. I like Pinot. I think we'll stay where we're at.
Yeah. Also, thank you for the blessing. I didn't want to interrupt Tone's point because I think he was making a really good point. But yeah, I think it's hard to make a move if you're the Celtics. Another move that is just because of. I'll go as far as saying the uncertainty of the status of Jason Tatum for the rest of the season, because obviously he is coming off of a devastating injury he suffered last year in the playoffs, and so you don't know how much he's going to be able to give you if he does come back, if and when he comes back. But those are the big trades that happened today, and of course we'll be back Friday. So we'll and that'll be after the deadline. So we'll recap everything that happened over the trade deadline. But for right now, and we'll get into basketball here at the end of the show.
I got to ask a little about the Heat trade.
The Heat trade. The Heat made a trade.
No, but we're trying. Yeah, we'll get into that probably at the end of the show if we're gonna get into it.
You ain't no good, Tom. See, you negative Nancy, boy. You know that. You see, there you go, bro. Let's talk some football for a few minutes. This is not exactly on the field stuff, but I do think it's been a topic of conversation over the past few days, and I thought that we should at least mention it because I'm honestly interested to see what you guys think about it. But the NFL coaching cycle, there were 10 jobs that were available over this coaching cycle. All of them are filled now. My team was not technically, but the second to last technical team to finish and find their head coach, and they found Mike LaFleur, who was introduced today. But that's not what I want to talk about right now. What I want to talk about is there were 10 head coaching openings, and one of them were filled by a minority. Now, I don't want to get too controversial on this show, but I also do like to bring things up like this because that's what we have this platform to do. That's what we have this show and this opportunity to speak about things like that. And we're our own boss, so we get to talk about what we feel like talking about. So now, again, it's been a topic of conversation that there were just one minority head coach hired in this coaching cycle and 0 black head coaches hired in this head coaching cycle. Now, there are 3 black head coaches in the NFL right now, who are Todd Bowles, the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, DeMeco Ryans, the head coach of the Houston Texans, and Aaron Glenn, the head coach of the New York Jets. Tone, this is not new. This is not some new, I don't want to call it issue, but new subject of conversation of, are there enough minority or black head coaches in the NFL? And not only that, are they getting the opportunity to actually show that they can be a head coach in the NFL? What is your take on this, and how do you see it from the outside looking in on terms of the opportunity or lack of opportunity minority and black head coaches are getting in the NFL?
Man, there's definitely a need for this conversation. It is a tough one. Yeah, it's a tough one. It's hard to understand. When you look at the players, I'd say, what is it, 70? Got to be high 60% African American, black,
At least, yeah.
And when you look at minorities, it's got to be in the 80s because you've got my Spanish brothers out there, a couple Asian cats out there. It's hard to understand why the opportunity isn't given when there's so many players who are talented and that play the game, and you'd assume have an understanding for positioning and playmaking and reading skills. It's tough. Now, there's often rumors and speculation that owners have felt as though white men are the thinkers throughout the sport and minorities are just the talented athletes. I don't think that the players feel the same way. However, I will breathe this nasty breath into the conversation. As someone who's played high school basketball a long time ago, many years ago, there's often times when us minorities don't treat other minority coaches with the same respect, which is bad. I believe it's a horrible thing. But I actually, not to get off track, but I tutored a math class in high school. And one of my best friends, and the teacher was a black guy who went to Harvard. And one of my best friends was in the class that I tutored. And he was like, it's kind of a class clown. He's a funny dude. But it was odd to me that, one, he knew I was one of I was helping out in the class. And he was just always having these sidebar conversations and joking. I was like, damn, this how bro acts there in class all the time? And the teacher was like, yeah, pretty much. And then one day he actually made the teacher cry. Like, he was just pissing the teacher off so bad that the teacher stopped it. He yelled in the class. He stopped him. He had a long conversation with everyone. And then he just cried because he was baffled that he came from Harvard. He could have taught anywhere. He chose to teach at a public school, one of the toughest public schools in the city of Boston. And he's like, this is what I got to deal with every day. Y'all being ignorant. I'm trying to help y'all get somewhere in life and y'all being ignorant. And not everyone is like that. Most of these athletes do go to college. They are looking for, better opportunities. They're more mature than most. But there are still some of those groups of guys, like you look at AB. AB, I'm sorry, just like he acted like an ignorant brother for the most part.
Yep.
And it's hard. I don't know how an owner would have that conversation if he was, a white guy trying to tell the black fellas, yo, y'all respect this black dude. You know what I'm saying? And they're gonna be like, man, you tripping. like that's our brother. We doing what we do in the locker room. And so coming from just that open eye and having that type of observation growing up, I think that that's part of the play. But also I do feel as though that it's a little inconsiderate that you haven't even given brothers opportunity. You know what I'm saying? let the mistake happen so it can be corrected if that per se is the mistake that's going to happen. But oddly, I'll try to keep this one short. Is often people like to put people in power that resemble them. There are no black owners, and so from that standpoint, I think that's one of the things that may need to change. But I don't know how that changes because correct me if I'm wrong, the owners have to vote you in.
I know. I'd have to do some more research, but I believe if you have the money to buy an NFL team or an NBA team, you can just buy the end. I don't know if the owners have that much power. Now, I wouldn't be surprised, but I think if you have the money to buy the team, you can just buy the team whether the other owners like it or not.
If they're selling, if the team is being sold,
if the team is being
sold, we should look that up. But I thought that the owners had to vote you in and give you almost give you the rights to buying that team, like as a majority owner of the team. Like as a minority owner, I believe you can purchase, but a majority owner, that's what gives you the say so. That's what makes you be able to change the logo if you want, or move it to another city and do these type of things, which owners like to have say so.
Absolutely. Tone, you hit it right on the effing nail, dog. People of power like to put people in positions that are like and look like them. That is not just sports. That is any business in the world of business, as long as business has ever been a thing. Here's my thing. I have a few takeaways from this, and I've really been stewing on this for the past few days because I knew I wanted to talk about it, and I wanted to really make sure that I get my feeling out and it doesn't sound crazy. But what I'm feeling is I don't want this to get overblown. Both of you guys know, and anybody who's watched this show knows that I am a very positive person. So I'm going to have a positive outlook on this. I'm going to, again, I want to have a positive outlook on it, but I also want to make sure that it's not a naive outlook on this. Has this been a problem? It absolutely has. This has been a problem in the past. It started with quarterbacks, and then Doug Williams went out and won a Super Bowl. And they say, hey, you know what? I want the owner. You know what the owner said? Let me go get one of them. I want one of them. If he gonna win a Super Bowl, I want one of them to come win me a Super Bowl. And then you start to see more black quarterbacks and more black franchise players. But it's not as big of a problem as it once was. I'll use me for an example. I cover the Cardinals. I do a lot of stuff. I work for the Cardinals. So I was very invested in their head coaching search. I will begin by saying I don't think Jonathan Gannon should have been fired. But he was, and here we are. The Cardinals went out and hired Mike LaFleur. The Cardinals had 14 different candidates that they interviewed. I'm not going to go through all of them because I don't remember all of them. I'm going to go through some of them because some of them were black. They went through Vance Joseph, Raheem Morris, the coach, the head coach that was the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, Anthony Weaver, the defensive coordinator of the Miami Dolphins. I will be the first to tell you, all three of those guys, I did not want to coach the Arizona Cardinals. It wasn't because they were black. It wasn't because of anything else other than I don't think they were the best fit. And again, I wasn't thinking about this at the time. The only reason why we're having this conversation is because I saw somebody having a conversation, and it took me to see that person having a conversation for me to actually think about what's going on in the NFL. But it has made strides. This issue of the lack of black head coaches has made strides, because when you look at the New York Jets, we are getting longer leashes as head coaches. Aaron Glenn, the Jets had a awful year. They are the first team in NFL history to go without the entire season without an interception. And Aaron Glenn is a defensive-minded head coach. Yet he is still the head coach of the New York Jets. That is positive. That is a step in the right direction, because I know two head coaches One that coached for my team, Tone, and one that coached for your team, Tone. 2 head coaches that were black and got 1 year and were out of there. Gerard Mayo and Steve Wilkes. And after the year that the Jets had, Aaron Glenn gets another year. Step in the right direction. We look at the black coaches that are in the NFL right now. Todd Bowles. He wins the division every other year. He's had a lot of success. He wasn't the head coach, but he was the defensive coordinator on that team that won the Super Bowl. And guess who gave him a very, very good word and probably gave him the opportunity to be the head coach? Bruce Arians. D'Amico Ryans, a guy that's made the playoffs each of the last 3 years, and every single season he's been the head coach and has won a playoff game. And every single year he's been the head coach for the Texans. My thing is, I don't want this to be overblown, and I don't want this to look around the league and, black people aren't getting the chance that they deserve. Black people. And now, don't get me wrong. Could it be the case? It absolutely could. Again, I'm not that naive. At the very same time, I don't want owners and general managers to interview black head coaches just because they have to. That's the part that worries me the most. They shouldn't be interviewing them just because they have to. We all know the Rooney Rule. Mike Tomlin, who was just stepped away from the Steelers, coached that team for 19 years, went to multiple Super Bowls, won one. If Mike Tomlin was available and he actually still wanted to coach, guess who'd be number one on everybody's list that did not have a head coach? Guess who'd be number one ahead of John Harbaugh, ahead of Kevin Stefanski, ahead of Sean McDermott? You know who'd be number one on everybody's list that did not have a head coach would be Mike Tomlin, who is black. So I don't want this to be overblown. But again, I do understand the fact that some black head coaches don't get an equal opportunity as some white coaches looking for a head coach job. I understand that. And I just again, I don't want to see. I want to keep saying I don't want to get to overblown because I think it's progress from where we've been over the past 10 years. And I think Robert Saleh, who was a minority who did get, that was my number one option for the Robert Saleh to go to the Cardinals. And David, obviously, Robert Saleh very, very well. I don't want us to get overblown because of the opportunity that some of these guys have. Vance Joseph probably should have got more looks. Anthony Weaver, not so much. And this is just me being honest. So now, I'll end on this point. If you're a black coach looking to be a head coach, don't go to Dallas. Don't even, if Jerry Jones calls you and say, hey, we want to come interview you. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. The Cowboys aren't hiring a black head coach. Don't waste your time. I'll end on that though. D'Lo, is this as big of a problem? Are we putting enough focus on this? Is this as big of a problem as a lot of people are saying? Do we need to start focusing more on the fact that there are a lack of minority or black head coaches in the NFL, and there needs to be more opportunities for those guys?
Yes. Now, again, I want to preface this by stating the point that you just stated. I don't think it needs to be overblown in the proportions that it currently is. However, with that said, I think that there were more than qualified candidates that should have been given more looks. You mentioned Vance Joseph. Look at what that Broncos defense just did this year. Why he wasn't given more looks, right? You look at a guy that I actually predicted that I wanted to go somewhere, Brian Flores. I think that he should have gotten more looks. He was fantastic in Minnesota. So I think that there are certain spots that should have been filled. But with that said, I just don't think it was the right opportunity for them. And in particular with Vance Joseph, I don't think that the Cardinals in this case, because, who really wants to go to the Raiders, wasn't the right fit. Wasn't the right fit for Vance Joseph. So I don't mind him going back to Denver to be a DC for one more year and then seeing what's out there. But I think that Brian Flores should have gotten another look. Raheem Morris is the other name that was going around. And I think after his stint in Atlanta, where he had a lot of talent and just couldn't make use of it, I think teams were hesitant there. And now he's obviously being the defensive coordinator for my team, and I absolutely love the pickup. I think his defensive mind with Kyle Shanahan offense is going to lead us back to a playoff spot next year, bearing all of the injury things. So, again, to your point, I don't think it should be blown out of proportions the way that it is. However, I do think that there were some candidates that were definitely overlooked that shouldn't have been. With the two that I mentioned, obviously being Brian Flores, Vance Joseph. They should, in my opinion, have been hired somewhere. Now, they didn't, and I hope in the next go around they find a place because really they should be. I think that they are both head coaching material. My question to you, Maul, is that one diversity hire. Is that Sala that you're talking about?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. He was the only minority hire of this entire coaching cycle. And I'm going to go through the head coaches because all of the head coaches who got the jobs have been doing their coordinator job or whatever it is at a high level for a while. Now, there are a couple that stand out to me that could have been filled by other faces, two of which being Vance Joseph and Brian Flores. And D'Lo, I'm so glad you brought up those names because Brian Flores to me should have been a head coach so long ago, so very long ago. He has deserved the opportunity to become a head coach. Now, I look at the Arizona Cardinals. I told you guys already, I like Mike LaFleur. I really do. I didn't really want Raheem Morris because I don't know what. I think Raheem Morris needs a second stint as a coordinator and being able to learn from a guy like Kyle Shanahan, who's again had a lot of success because this is not the first time he's going to work with Kyle Shanahan. Vance Joseph, he's been here. I honestly thought that's who was gonna get the job with the Cardinals. I was making the joke at work that Vance Joseph was gonna get the head coaching job and Cliff Kingsbury was gonna get the OC. My joke was that's gonna happen until it doesn't. But I like Mike LaFleur. Kevin Stefanski with the Falcons, a 2-time coach of the year. I understand he brought in Deshaun Watson and all these different quarterbacks, but he's been a very good head coach over his career. Jesse Minter, that's one that I think.
Oh, your mic unplugged. Here we go. Not the only one with technical difficulties.
Sorry, boys. Got a little too animated there. But Brian Flores, a guy that I think could have fit perfectly with the Baltimore Ravens. Or Vance Joseph, another guy who could have fit perfectly with the Baltimore Ravens because J.C. Minter is a defensive guy. Who else is defensive guys? Brian Flores and Vance Joseph. Anthony Weaver, who again, Anthony Weaver, his defense was okay this year, but they had a lot of injuries. Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, just being elevated into the head coach. I don't mind that. I think that was the best fit. I think that was the best move they could have done. Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator with the Ravens, the guy that has brought a lot of success to Lamar Jackson and helped him get a lot of success. I don't mind that, especially if you're planning on Shador being the future guy in Cleveland. Clint Kubiak, he's in the Super Bowl right now, and he's going to the Las Vegas Raiders. That's the guy who I wanted originally. And then Michael LaFleur got hired, and I'm okay with that. John Harbaugh, that's self-explanatory. That was when if Mike Tomlin wasn't getting coached, that was the next option. Mike McCarthy, that's another one. I understand why they did it because they're trying to keep Aaron Rodgers and they want to get the best out of whatever's left of Aaron Rodgers. I don't love it, but I understand why they did it. And of course, Robert Saleh, who I think is going to do a great job in Tennessee. The other one that I think was a little questionable was the Miami Dolphins because Anthony Weaver, the defensive coordinator of the Miami Dolphins, got a lot of looks for head coaches. He was one of the finalists with the Arizona Cardinals. And so if you're the Dolphins, if you're going to go get a defensive guy, elevate Anthony Weaver. Elevate Anthony Weaver, a guy that knows the system. He's already familiar with all the players. The players don't have to, adapt to this new guy. Elevate Anthony Weaver and see how that does. So, again, outside of all the coaching options, I question the Ravens and I question the Dolphins. Other than that, they're pretty much good fits for each of their teams. So, I don't know. I'm glad we had that conversation, boys, because I think it's good for us to have conversations like that and just kind of give people our thoughts on what we think about things like this. It's not exactly football. We're not talking about the actual game, but we're talking about something that has to do with football. And I think it's an important topic that we got to touch on. So definitely happy that we got to talk about that. All right, boys. It's a game on Sunday. I can't remember what it's called. It's a big game though. Big game. Of course, I'm only joking. The Super Bowl is on Sunday, and this is the week leading up to Super Bowl week. It's the week leading up to the Super Bowl. I'm very excited. D'Lo is also very, very excited. His two favorite teams are going against each other, so he's excited to see what happens on Sunday. But D'Lo, these two teams that you love so much, what is one thing that needs to happen for both of these teams? When you look at the Patriots and you look at the Seahawks, we'll start with the Patriots. The Patriots, in order for them to win this game on Sunday, they need to do what?
I'm going to make this real simple for you. Both teams need to just retire and drop out of the NFL. That's what they need to do.
Both teams need to eat whatever Michael Jordan ate before the flu game and have explosive diarrhea. And
I don't like either of these teams. I hate them both. Now, going back to your question, this is the game where Drake May needs to be regular season Drake May if they want to win. Because New England's run game has been really shaky this entire playoffs, really. They've had some spurts in the regular season where they looked like they started to get it going, and then it kind of fell off, and then it dropped off a cliff. So you're relying on Drake May to be regular season Drake May if they want to win, especially against the Seattle defense. And the thing is that Sam Darnold isn't going to spoil the opportunities that he's given, because when you look at it, defensively, the Patriots are really, really, really good. And I envision there will be some turnover mistake by Sam Darnold at some point, if not multiple. Because he has shown sometimes in this year where he's had games where he's thrown like 3 interceptions. So I envision some mistakes from Sam Darnold. However, and we've seen it with the Patriots, there have been times where they have not capitalized off of these turnovers and off of these mistakes. We saw it in the Denver game where they couldn't get anything going. We saw it in the Charger game where they couldn't get anything going. We saw it in the Houston game where there were multiple drives in a row where they were going 3 and out. And that was their best looking game, was in Houston, where CJ Stroud had 7 turnovers and they only scored 28 because of these multiple 3 and out drives that they were punting the ball. And so if you're New England, you have to find a way to get the offense moving again like it was in the regular season. And I think it starts with Drake May, and he has to be better. And he has to throw the football well if they want to win.
Tone, your boys going up against the Seattle Seahawks, the winner of the NFC. What is one thing? If there's one thing that your boys need to do to win on Sunday, what does it need to be?
Well, we're going to need to do more than one thing. But I think Lo was getting there. I think we need to be able to run the ball. That's part of what enables Drake May to have success is when we have success running the ball, then we tend to be able to mix up the plays a little bit more. But we haven't had that ability through the past couple of games, and I think that's primarily because we've been playing some top-tier defenses, and Seattle's, number 2 in the league? So it's going to be tough. But I think if our O-line can stand up and create some gaps for us to run through, we can have a little bit more success throwing the ball. And I'd have to say if our 1B is likely going to have to be Gonzo, man. He's going to have to slow JSN down. That's we're going to have, like Lo said, we're going to have to turn over that football. We're going to have to get some turnovers. Because that defense is that stout, man. I do agree that it's gonna cause a little bit of havoc for Drake. Drake's gonna have to overcome, but I think one way that we enable Drake to have some success is getting him the football, him having more opportunities. And so I do believe Gonzo's gonna have to slow JSN down. And yeah, we're gonna have to rough Sam Donald up, man. Make him see those ghosts again.
I'm gonna take Tone your answer, and I'm gonna take D'Lo your answer. I'm gonna put them together. And what I'm gonna do is, I believe the Patriots need to win the time of possession in order to win this football game on Sunday. Take the ball away from that Seattle Seahawks. I'm sorry. Keep the ball away from that Seattle Seahawks offense as much as you possibly can, because if you give them the ball, that Patriots defense is good, but that Seahawks offense is just a little bit better. And they're going to go down the field. They're going to put up points. And they're going to put up points. And they're going to put up even more points. I don't know if Drake May will be able to keep up with the amount of points that the Seahawks can put up. And the way you do that is by running the ball. Tone, is by running the ball and making sure you're getting first downs and just maintaining possession and scoring touchdowns when you get in the red zone, because against the Seahawks, field goals will get you beat. And in order for that to happen, Drake May also needs to be elite in this game. And if he's not, they'll lose this game. Point blank, period. Tone, if the Seahawks are going to win this game, what's the one thing they need to make sure that they do in order to win this football game and beat the New England Patriots?
Man, it pains me to say this, but I don't think they even have to do anything spectacular. They've been that good throughout the season. I think the one thing that they're gonna have to do is just get to Drake, and that's pretty much what they've been doing all season. Is they rush the passer, and I don't think they're gonna have that much trouble because our O line isn't ranked top tier. We've held it down, but they're not ranked top tier. And so I think if the Hawks can get to Drake and cause some confusion and have him getting rid of that ball a little bit earlier than he anticipates, then their defense will do what it does. And it pains me to say because, of course, I'm a Pats fan, but the Seahawks are really that good.
Hilo, if there's one thing the Seahawks need to do, and if they do this one thing, they'll win the football game. What is that?
I think it comes down to one player, and his name is Kenneth Walker. I think the more that they take the ball out of Sam Darnold's hands, the more likely they are to win this game. Strictly just because I think that this Pats secondary is the best secondary that they've played. You've got so many pieces in the secondary, and obviously JSN is going to do JSN and he's going to get open. But again, as I mentioned, Sam Darnold has had some games where he has multiple turnovers, and he's obviously still dealing with the oblique. So if you're Seattle, trying to establish Kenneth Walker early is going to be priority number one, because the more you can run the football, the more it opens up play action. And then you have this infinite amount of time with Sam Darnold to where he can make the correct read. So I think that is their key. And if Kenneth Walker does not have a good game, I think Seattle has their highest chance of losing.
I think, and Adilo, I'm going to build off of that. I'm going to say do not turn the ball over. If the Seahawks do not turn the ball over, they will win this football game. Because just like I said, the Seattle Seahawks offense is good. Drake May is also really good. He hasn't had that big moment, big time game where he throws for 350 and 3 touchdowns and runs for 55, 60 yards in a touch. He hasn't had that big game, but he is due. And if I'm the Seahawks, there's no way I'm letting him have that big game against us in the biggest game of the year. Zero chance. So I think the least amount of times you can give Drake May the football, the better. Because if you give him extra opportunities and more opportunities than he should have, that will get you beat in this game. And to your point, D'Lo, if they're able to run the ball, that'll take a lot of pressure off of Sam Darnold. You won't have to force Sam Darnold to be Superman and be able to make all the plays that they need to. I think that'll take a lot of pressure off of the offensive line, and being able to protect those guys from the guys like Harold Landry and Milton Williams and those guys who can wreak havoc on Sam Darnold. So I think if the Seahawks protect the football, I think they'll be good. I think as long as you have a big fat 0 in that turnover column at the end of those 60 minutes, the Seahawks will win the game and they'll be Super Bowl champions. And we'll make our official picks on Friday night, going into Super Bowl weekend. So we'll save that for Friday. See, there you go. If you use a bet, no, you know what? I'll say that for Friday. Say that for Friday, Tone. How much you really love your boys, huh? How much you really love your boys?
Celtics.
See, there you go. See, didn't nobody ask about the nasty green colors. Okay. Lastly, once again, we'll be back Friday night, which means that the NBA trade deadline had already passed. The NBA trade deadline is on Thursday at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time and 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, boys, what I want to ask you, if there's one bold trade prediction that you think could happen before the trade deadline, what would it be? Any team, it could be your team, it could be a Giannis trade, it could be whatever it is. If there's one trade that you believe could happen before the trade deadline, what would it be?
Go ahead, Lo.
Go ahead, Mo. I gotta think. I wasn't ready for this question.
Okay, so here's the thing. I think there's a lot of action that could happen before the trade deadline. But I also think there could be very little. I don't think there's going to be in between. I think there'll be like one or two like just salary cap moves where you're dumping some guy at the end of your bench to try and get under the cap or whatever it is. And this is tough because I don't think
got mine.
You've got yours, okay? Because I don't think Giannis is going to get moved.
I got mine. That's why I thought y'all had something lined up.
Nothing lined up.
All right, I'm more intrigued to see what Tone says, so we'll save his for last. So D'Lo, because D'Lo, because Tone has that look on his face where he's going to say something blasphemous. So,
mine might be blasphemous. I don't know.
Oh, here we go. All right. Well, we want to bring people in, not drive people away.
Well, the Minnesota Timberwolves recently today shipped out Mike Conley and are now without a guard. And I've been saying it. Ja Morant and Anthony Edwards would be a pretty nice duo. My bold prediction is that Ja Morant ends up in Minnesota next to Anthony Edwards before the deadline.
All right, Tone. What you got? Oh, here we go.
Got a 3-team trade. The Celtics give up Jordan Walsh for Devin Booker.
Yeah, you know what? That's going to close out this show. And this is actually going to be the last ever podcast that we ever do. So I hope you all enjoyed the show while it lasted. That's going to close out our entirety of this show. All right, see, there you go. Even as you said that, I know it's not going to happen, but my heart stopped, Tone. My heart stopped. Oh, my God.
We didn't even hear the other part.
Don't nobody want to hear the other part. Unless it involves Jason Tatum, I don't want nothing to do with it.
Oh,
No, here we go.
Stars up for Bam Adebayo.
And Bam Adebayo. Yep, there it is. Yeah, I knew that was coming. All right.
And Thanos now has all of his Infinity Stones.
Hey, I thought D'Lo was supposed to be the negative person on this show, and then here you come, Tone, and take over.
No, but as odd as it may sound, is I have the same team, but not the same player. I do believe that the Minnesota Timberwolves have made some adjustments because they wanted to free up space. And I do believe that Julius Randle will be off of the team, and Giannis Antetokounmpo will be there.
Wow. That is
I just
okay. That
don't believe that Ja moves the needle enough. And at this point in Ant's career, you have to start making moves to get him over that hump and try to compete for a championship. And I don't know if Ja is the piece, and I do think it'll be tough because that core of Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert, and Ant had some success last year. But when you look at the teams in the West, pretty much all of them have gotten better. When you look at Denver, they got better. You look at the Houston Rockets, they got better. You look at OKC, although they've played underwhelmingly the past month and a half, they got better. And I don't know if Ja gets them over that hump, but Giannis does.
I will start by saying this. I don't believe Giannis will get traded before the deadline. But if Giannis so happened to get traded before the deadline, as much as this hurts my heart to say, Giannis will be traded to the Golden State Warriors. And Jonathan Kuminga will be out. Giannis will be in. Jimmy Butler will not be on the team. So, oh man. Yeah, Giannis to the Warriors.
That's a good one. I got that happening this summer if the Minnesota Timberwolves don't make it happen. Somebody texted me right before our show. I said if the Timberwolves don't make it happen tomorrow, Giannis will be in Golden State and they'll be trying to figure out a way to get LeBron there.
To Golden State?
Yeah, I said that on the last pod. I said that Giannis and LeBron will be in the Warriors.
So tune in Friday to see what's going on. Tune in Friday to see my depression when Pat Riley makes no moves yet again. And tune in Friday to see if our predictions were right.
Friday night. Before we close it out, I will say, my team, I'm kind of in the same position but opposite. My team is not going to make any moves.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. That's awesome. Cool. Yeah.
I want you to feel the wrath of my.
Okay. It's like you want me to rant right now, and I really don't want to.
Okay,
but like
rant about what?
You're begging for it. And
Rant
pause. Okay.
See
the fact that every year since 2020, the Heat have been the destination for a big name player, and Pat Riley does not pull the trigger. It doesn't happen. 2020 it was Giannis, and then 2021 it wasn't Bradley Beal. There was another player, and then 2022 it was Bradley Beal, and then 2023 it was Dame, and then 2024 it's a never-ending cycle.
It's those cookies. He took LeBron's cookies, and they ain't never been the same.
It's a never-ending. 2022 it might have been KD. And now this year, it's Giannis again. But let me tell you, I'm glad you're not in purgatory, because I'm in purgatory. Because every year at the trade deadline and every year over summer, there's a big name guy, and then it doesn't happen.
But you guys got Khalil Ware, man. You guys really just need a 2 guard.
And that's fantastic. We don't have a 1.
You can find a 1 in the draft.
We don't have one.
There'll be a lot of.
Should have had one. Yeah, should have been our number 1 pick. In Cooper Flag should have been a guy. Damn Dallas.
Listen, the Suns aren't going to make any moves, and I'm going to love it.
Oh yeah, thanks, man.
I'm love it. I'm just D-Lo, I'm here for you. I hope what you're going through is absolutely horrible, and because
and it is.
Yeah, we were winning 19 games a season for 10 years.
I need you guys to get back to that. Make those Suns tickets a little
Okay.
cheaper.
What? There you go.
Would
No, what?
okay, but I would rather listen, and I understand that, but I would rather be in that spot and get a top pick every year than be mediocre every single year and be in the play-in every single year to where you're just good enough to make the playoffs, but you're not good enough to get a top pick. You don't understand my pain.
That's next year. You guys will be okay. The Wizards will be better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's cool and all, but next year when summer rolls around, if there's not a big name guy on my team, I might disown the Miami Heat and I might become a Boston Celtic fan. And
you, Brody.
I'm never gonna do that. But like that's the state that I'm in. We came into this season thinking Maul was gonna be more depressed than us because the Suns were gonna be bad, and here we are. And here we are. I, the Heat fan, am at the bottom of the barrel.
You guys did all right today, right? Oh no, my bad. You guys lost to the Hawks.
Oh yeah, we did. We did lose to the Hawks.
My bad.
Yep. Thanks for
well,
watching the show, guys.
On
Thanks,
that positive
for real.
note, thank you all for watching. As I always say, if nobody else is going to tell you, I love you. D-Lo, David Largo, I love you. You know that? I love you. I love you, D-Lo. And I love all of you. I love all of you watching. I love all of your support. I know we speak all for everybody. We all love your support. We are very appreciative for your support. We are nothing and will be nothing without your support. So we are very, very grateful for everybody that has watched, that has tuned in, that has supported, specifically Papa Dano, Gucci, who have been in the comments. Shout out to y'all boys, man. But as I always say, I love you. If nobody else is going to tell you, I love you, matter, and you have a purpose. Strive for happiness and be grateful for what you do have instead of upset for what you don't. And if you don't mind hitting that like button, tap
Like, comment, subscribe, like, comment, subscribe.
Just like my OG said. Go ahead. If y'all could do that, man, that'd be nice. I know we'd all appreciate it. Follow us on all of our social medias, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Gumball Sports Machine on all platforms. Once again, we come out with clips every single day, clips from the podcast. Every Tuesday and Friday, we are live right here on Gumball Sports Machine. But for my boy, my dog, D-Lo, David Largo, and the men we call Flip Say Less, a.k.a. co-host D-Lo, and for my unk, my dog, my OG, and the man we like to call the Generalizer. Shout out my OG Tone, and for yours truly, Jamal Gumo, aka Gumball. And what was it? You know it all, Gumo? You know Gumo. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all have a fantastic night. We will see you all Friday nights. Tune in 7:30 around that time. So you're always somewhere around there. As always, it is nice to be important, but it is much more important to be nice. We'll see you all Friday night. Shout out my boys, Tone, D-Lo, for yours truly, Jamal Gumo, aka Gumbo. We'll see you all Friday night.
Deuces.
Good night. Deuces.